I see. Testing, testing, yeah. Okay, so we are back in T-Pose Am Jesus Christ, and we're going to pick up where we left off. As I've said before, the perspective I'll be offering is not that of an Orthodox Christian, and by Orthodox I mean not Greek Orthodox or Roman Orthodox, but really any Christian who accepts basically the Nicene Creed. Um, yeah. So, um, really, any Christian, subscribes to the New Testament, the Gospels. Um, yeah. Now, you know, while I'm against Christianity for the fact that it introduced more falsehood and idolatry into the world, um, I do ask questions about what the world would be like without the invention of Christianity by the Roman Flavians. I do um, ask questions about what Christianity brought to the world and how it was foundational in the what we think of as Western civilization. So, for example, here are a couple questions. Um, I asked Google, how much of a role did Christianity play in exposing the West to the works of the pagan philosophers? Christianity played a foundational role in preserving, interpreting, and transmitting pagan philosophical works to the West. Now, what does philosophy mean? It means philo, love, so, like, so, is it sophistry? Not sophistry, because that's like, just basically um, playing with words to get ahead is really what sophistry is. But I think it's Sophia, wisdom, the word for wisdom. So it's philosophy is love of wisdom. So this is by transmitting pagan philosophical works to the West, they're introducing pagan wisdom to the West. And and wisdom, even if it's pagan, is probably preferable to a lack of wisdom. So, I think that there's probably some good brought to the West through the introduction of pagan philosophy, the various schools, to uncivilized peoples. Maybe, But then at the same time, uh, these colonizers usually come or may come with the attitude that their culture is superior and that there's no wisdom to be learned from the people they're conquering, right? So, uh, for example, like in Mesoamerica, um, those who conquered Central America and Southern America, the southern, those continents, if you could call Central America a continent, I'm not sure. Anyway, they probably had like somewhat of a language barrier, so, and they probably were too busy in what they were doing to take too much time to learn the wisdom of the people they were conquering. So it's far easier to continue with what you've already learned than it is to learn something new, especially when there's a language barrier. And especially when you see your civilization as superior to those of that you're conquering. Anyway, so it says that Christianity played a foundational role in preserving, interpreting, and transmitting pagan philosophical works to the West, particularly through monastic preservation and medieval scholasticism. Scholars argue that while early Christians criticized pagan thought, they also adopted, harmonized, and taught thinkers like Plato and Aristotle, integrating them into early university curricula. Um, in fact, let me see if I could find it. YouTube and Hugh Nibley, World and the Prophets, Prophets and Philosophers. Do we not have the one on? There's Prophets and Gnostics, World Without Prophets, Prophets and Philosophers. So here, Time Vindicates the Prophets, Lecture 10, Prophets and Philosophers by Hugh Nibley. Now, this is a Mormon scholar, high-ranking Mormon scholar at Brigham Young University when he was alive, and known to be very versed in many languages. We're talking to like 23 or in the upper teens or something like that. And so many of them dead languages, or ancient languages. Anyway, you could say, well, he's coming from a Mormon perspective, and you'll see that probably in his lecture. But Hugh Nibley really was so studied that he was not, most of his thoughts were not like anything your typical Mormon was thinking, okay? Like, his lectures were so advanced for the Mormon mind that it's surprising that he was never excommunicated just for knowing so much more than the Mormon general authorities or prophets and apostles and 70s of the Mormon church, right? Like the apostles are supposed to know more because they have the Spirit, right? But here was a scholar, albeit a loyal Mormon, at least he towed the line of what Mormonism expected, but who through scholarly study knew more than the Mormon apostles did. He kind of really made them look ridiculous, in my opinion, because even like some of the most studied Mormon apostles, or the ones who were thought to be, like Bruce R. McConkie, Nibley blew McConkie away with what he knew. And that's why, like, even in Happy Valley, where BYU was located, they call it Happy Valley for slang. Like, some people called him the Prophet Nibley because he just knew so much more than even the presidents of the Mormon church, the prophets of the Mormon church did. Anyway, I left Mormonism in the early 90s, so do not think that, and I was exposed to a great deal by my own volition from that period onward as I studied, asked the questions that I did not see were ever answered. Often, thanks be to God, found answers to these questions, and then I would move on. When I saw that where I was not in harmony with the truth that I had learned, I moved on somewhere that could teach me more truth. Because what I'd found was that Mormonism claimed to have the truth. It didn't. Jay's Witnesses, or the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, claimed to have the truth. They didn't. So I had to keep moving on, looking for a denomination that had the truth, until I would get these Christians who would say to me that maybe my pursuit of truth was idolatry. And that's part of the letter of the law killeth, that then gets applied even to Christian study, suggesting that to study is to kill your faith, which, I mean, that suggests to me that your faith is nonsense. If studying it kills your faith in your faith, then your faith is sheer nonsense. Anyway, so that didn't stop me. I kept studying anyway. And now those people, maybe they're still ignorant of some of the things that I've since learned. Anyway, doesn't matter, but if you want a good, like, basic academic comparison between the idea of inspiration or revelation versus the pagan philosophers, this lecture 10, is probably a good one. The whole series is excellent. The Time Vindicates the Prophets, which in book form was known as The World and the Prophets. Just don't get conned into the Mormonism of it, because that's just garbage. That's a dead end. Joseph Smith Jr. and all of the succeeding prophets of Mormonism, they're all false prophets. Pretty sure that most of them are not of the children of Israel, which disqualifies them as a true prophet according to the Torah. And they also didn't promote observance of the Torah to the children of Israel, which Mormons consider themselves to be. So that also makes them false prophets. So just right on down the line, those stuffed suits are false prophets. So, and as Joseph Smith Jr. once said, I think, that today is a day too kind for false prophets. He was speaking of, like, the Shakers or the Quakers, I believe, at the time. But really, he should have applied that measuring stick to himself. He was just either too false and or too crazy to engage in that level of introspection. Anyway, I come to you not as one claiming to be a prophet, but as one who studies and keeps asking the questions, even though the answers might be hurtful to me. And then when I get the answers, I adapt my lifestyle to the information that I gain. I'll admit one thing I'm not willing to do is I'm not willing to follow after atheistic science or archaeology or history when it contradicts my devotion to the deity of the Bible. And the reason for that is that, like a child of Israel, I know from experience what my relationship with that deity has done to protect me at times from my own stupidity, to protect me from impending doom or death, to rescue me from immediate peril, and to prosper me in the very thing that I had asked for during my whole career or vocation, if you want to call it, of pursuing biblical truth. I mean, you could say, well, it's all to my own credit that I arrived at some of these truths when not even 1% of other Bible believers have. You could say that, but from my perspective, I don't believe that, because I really see it as miraculous how much my pursuit of biblical truth has been prospered over the years. So I'm not about to turn my back on my deity who has prospered me in this fashion, protected me over time, I'm just not going to do it, you know. Um, One day I'll die, and if I'm wrong, well, then all of my mistaken notions or conceptions or worldview will die with me. So, and it's probably not, it could be like in the next, I don't know, 1 to 30 years. So I think it's something you can wait for if my failure to adopt atheist secular thinking um, is something you find offensive to your person. So anyway, that's something you could check out if you want to. But back to this. Um, Key aspects of this role include preservation and education. Following the collapse of the Roman Empire, monasteries acted as repositories for classical knowledge, preserving manuscripts and teaching the works of pagan philosophers. Harmonization of truth. Early Christian thinkers did not just use pagan philosophy to explain their beliefs. They sought to harmonize truth with truth, viewing rational truth, philosophy, as compatible with revealed truth as long as revelation took precedence. That kind of goes along with that lecture by Hugh Nibley. Development of scholasticism. Church scholars and philosophers such as Augustine of Hippo and Thomas Aquinas, I'm not sure how that's pronounced exactly, critically incorporated Greek philosophical concepts into Christian theology. And Hugh Nibley kind of considers that as bringing the world into the church. I don't think he looks on it very favorably. I think he talks about how these, without active revelation in the church, these later Christian minds sought a substitute for revelation, so they turned to philosophy in some cases. Foundation for learning. The early Christian church and monastic schools laid the foundation for the establishment of universities, where the liberal arts and classical studies were central to education. While Christianity was the dominant cultural force in Western philosophy from the 5th to the 19th century, its approach to pagan philosophy was complex, involving both direct study and, at times, censorship or adaptation. So then I also asked the question, what would the West look like if Christianity had not been invented? Without Christianity, the West would likely be a culturally polytheistic, meaning having multiple gods, society within a stronger modernized Roman-style paganism, potentially retaining polytheistic beliefs and a more stratified social order similar to historical India. And by the way, that Roman-style paganism, that might have retained Roman pederasty, like, grown Roman men sodomizing little Roman boys for pleasure. Yeah, that was part of ancient Rome. Roman legal and social structures might have survived longer, while a localized, disparate, and more diverse cultural landscape would have replaced the cohesive European identity built by the Church. Religion and culture. Instead of a single unifying church, Europe would likely maintain a mix of localized pagan faiths, Neoplatonic cults, and nature-based traditions, potentially creating a Hindu-like diversity of beliefs. Political structure. The Roman Empire might not have fallen in the traditional sense, but evolved, or feudalism might have taken a completely different form without the King of Kings structure. Science and education. Some speculate a faster scientific rise without the Dark Ages, while others suggest Christian theology provided the necessary framework for studying the natural world, and scientific progress might have been delayed without church institutions and scholasticism. Social norms and ethics. Modern ideas of equality might be absent, as Christianity introduced the concept of the human person as a subject of inherent dignity, which transformed pagan Roman society. Global history. Without Christianity, Islam might not have emerged in the same way, as it was influenced by local Jewish and Christian groups. Literature and art. The art, architecture, and music of the West, from Gothic cathedrals to specific musical developments, would be unrecognizable or non-existent. The lack of Christianity would have eliminated the medieval concept of a Western identity, replacing it with regionalized cultures that retained more continuity with Indo-European pagan roots. And then I think the question arises, would then the West, without Christianity, have been more tolerant of Judaism, or at least Jews practicing Judaism in their lands? Well, lots of this Western anti-Semitism or Jew hatred comes from the Christian scriptures, and Islam, which is derived partially from Christianity, and who obviously also retains some of this anti-Semitism or Jew hatred, may not have existed. So, without the invention of Christianity, things might have been a lot better for Jews and Judaism. Because the derpy anti-Jewish racism of Christianity and Islam keeps getting resurrected generation by generation as each rising generation is compelled, pressured to learn these anti-Jewish values from their Christian and Muslim forebears. But, you know, it's all speculation. We don't know. You'd have to play like some kind of parallel universe, ahistorical computer game to get an idea what the world might be like without Christianity having been invented. Anyway, so let's continue with our game. Okay, let's see. Support your apostles. Hit T. Thought we had a, let's see what Matthew's up to. Oh, the Gerasene demoniac. Okay, so it's in this direction. How far? Way up here.
Master, I have heard of a man in the land of the Gerasenes who is possessed by demons. The people say he lives among the tombs, breaks his chains, and no one can subdue him.
I wonder if that term Gerasenes has to do with Mount Gerizim.
No, but many speak of him. They are afraid to pass by that place. They say he cries out day and night, and his strength is beyond human. Master, if anyone can set him free, it is you.
This man is suffering, we must help him. I have not come for the healthy, but for the sick. If this man is suffering, we must help him.
Then shall we go there, Lord?
Agreed, let us board the boat and go to Gergesa. The latency is kind of rough in this game. This guy's running. Matthew, like, you don't waste no time, man. You coming? Where'd you go?
I stand with you, my lord.
Yeah, well, we were gonna go take the boat, right? Anyway, whatever. So we're supposed to find a suffering
The weather
man
is
here.
perfect for a walk today. Have you heard the news from Jerusalem?
What do you want with me? Jesus, Son of the Most High God. Have you come here to torment me before the appointed time?
I don't know, his delivery's not what I imagined it would be.
I'm...
Where did he go? Oh, I saw him take off. He went running. Come back here, you demon! Don't make me send K-pop demon hunters after you. Whatever. I don't really know much about them. I just know they got a song that is kind of catchy. We're going up, 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 do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do. We're going up, 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 do-do-do-do-do. I'm asking you again, what is your name?
My name is Legion.
Yeah, Roman
For
Legion.
we are many.
Roman Legion. Come on, let's get over this. This is gonna be another one of those demon bashing. Oh, this one works differently. I command you, come out of this man.
Remember,
Here we
your
go again.
obedience and faithfulness will bring salvation to many.
Gotcha, bitch.
Trust in my presence and the power that guides you. You have overpowered us, Son of the Most High.
We cannot resist your command. Do not cast us into the abyss.
If you cast us out, allow us to enter those pigs.
Why would you cast him into the pigs? What did the pigs ever do to you? That was like so much better actually seeing it depicted. I don't think I've ever seen that depicted. So, rather than just casting the demons into the abyss or wherever he sends them, like he actually says, yeah, okay, I'll put you into the pigs. What did the pigs do? That's like cruelty to animals according to the law.
We must be cautious when interacting with Roman officials.
But apparently it's like some kind of symbolism between what happened. I think there were maybe some Jewish rebels and the Roman legions like pushed them off a cliff or something in Flavius Josephus. But you see that Jesus, the literary disguise for Titus Flavius, the one called Legion, which was only 3 demons in this case, even though there were supposed to be many, Legion says, we are at your command, which the Roman legions were at the command of Titus Flavius when he was around the Sea of Galilee.
Lord, let me go with you. I want to follow you wherever you go.
freedman. Freedman means a different thing in this time period, but whatever. Go ahead, tell everyone of the Lord's mercy on you. No, return to your home and tell them all that the Lord has done for you, how he has shown you mercy. So now Jesus refers to himself in the third person as
I will
Lord.
do as you say, Lord. I will tell everyone what God has done for me. May the Most High bless you on your journey.
His voice is totally different. Go in peace and let your testimony bring light to many. So, I mean, this kind of provides the model for like Steve Martin in what was that movie? Was it called Leap of Faith, where he was a faith healer? You know, he just goes around practicing all these faith healing miracles on people.
Master, this man was lost, and now he is free. The power of God has been revealed today. Should we stay and teach them?
No, they ask us to leave. How convenient. But the freedman will remain. He will tell of what God has done for him. Let me get some of my faith point. Oh, I can't do any praying here. I'm all maxed out. Let's see, what do we got for followers here? We got one more. Complete all activities in a location. I just need one more of those, otherwise we're maxed out in everything else. Okay, who's next? Oh, I really don't want to go see Thomas. Thomas is kind of tedious. Using Cana. It better be that Mary Magdalene is waiting for me.
I withdraw my challenge. You have spoken with a truth that leaves me silent.
And now you're just gonna stand there all day? Oh, I should have taken a... Oh, I could go this way. Who's this guy? That's
Welcome,
Philip.
teacher. I'm so glad you've returned to us. News about you has spread throughout all Galilee. Even in Capernaum, they say you heal with just a word. And here in Cana, they say you turned water into wine. Wherever you go, people ask who you truly are.
And let them not seek signs, but truth. For blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Those
And yet,
words come later.
Signs make people's hearts open to faith.
Anyway, those words, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe, I believe those are tied to Thomas when Thomas asks for proof of the resurrection and wants to insert his hand into Jesus' side where the spear wound is and wants to touch the nail prints in his hands and his feet. Faith that depends on signs is like a flame that dies without the wind. True faith endures in silence and trust. So then why all of these signs if they don't really result in actual faith?
It seems we are not the only ones seeking you, teacher.
Oh, finally we get a nice Roman story.
Are you Jesus of Nazareth? The one they say heals the sick and drives out spirits?
Cornelius. This is the guy that donates lots of money to local Jewish temples, I think. Local Jewish synagogues. See, Cornelius was a Roman centurion in Caesarea and the first Gentile convert to Christianity recorded in the New Testament in Acts 10. As a devout God-fearer, he prayed regularly and gave to charity. Following a divine vision, he summoned Peter, who subsequently baptized Cornelius and his household, marking the gospel's extension to Gentiles. He was a centurion, commander of roughly 100 men in the Italian regiment stationed in Caesarea, the administrative capital of Roman Judea. But we're in Galilee right now, described as a devout, God-fearing, and respected by the Jewish community for his charitable acts, even though he was not a circumcised proselyte. The vision in Acts 10, an angel told Cornelius that his prayers and gifts were remembered by God and instructed him to find Peter in Joppa. Anyway, so that's all in the book of Acts. So this is kind of early, if it's the same Cornelius. That's what people say, but tell me, what is it you seek, Roman?
My son, my only son, lies sick in Capernaum. He's been burning with fever for days. I've called for physicians, even magicians, but none could help him. Can you somehow heal him so that he won't die?
But, Lord, he's a Gentile.
Anyone who asks with faith is not a stranger in the eyes of God.
But what do you mean, Lord?
I'm curious too, Master.
Do you believe that I can do
Lord,
this?
I am not worthy for you to come under my roof, but only say the word, and my son will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I say to one, go, and he goes. To another, come, and he comes. So I know that if you command the illness to leave, it will obey you.
Then let it be done as you have said. Go now. So, I'm not sure if he's still going to say it or what. I'm here as a... No, looks like I'm here in bodily form. I don't know. But, I think that's at the point where Jesus said, I have not seen such faith in all Israel. Let me see. Under authority. Matthew chapter 8 verse 9 and Luke chapter 7 verse 8. Truly I say to you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you. So see, here's the text praising Romans and bashing the children of Israel, when it was the children of Israel who preserved the observance of the Sabbath and the covenant with circumcision as a sign, or bris, if you want to call it, by the Hebrew term. Then, yeah, and then again in Luke, I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. So Matthew and Luke preserve this. Let me see if... How about the Revised Standard Version? Looks like maybe this isn't in Mark. A centurion. So it doesn't say what the centurion's name is. The game developers just decide that this was Cornelius. Yeah. Matthew and Luke don't identify the centurion's name. Matthew 8 says centurion. Luke 7 says centurion. And then it jumps to Acts chapter 10 about Cornelius, where it says centurion. So, I mean, if you were using like rabbinical rules of interpretation, you might be able to draw a connection there between Matthew and Luke's centurion and the first mention of centurion in Acts. And so you might reason that, hey, this is the same guy. This is a centurion of the Italian cohort. But here it doesn't identify the centurion at all. Mark 14, he summoned the centurion, and then he learned from the centurion that Jesus was dead. When he learned from the centurion that he was dead, he granted the body to Joseph. So they've done a bit of conflation there, which there may be something to it, but it's kind of curious that they didn't actually give the centurion's name in Matthew and Luke, if that centurion is the same one as in Acts chapter 10. W A. I'm gonna stuff this. Why is it? Oh, because I'm still holding A. Sorry. I never get the hang of this, man. Ah. Jeez. Love that helmet. They did a good job on that helmet.
Very well, Jesus. I will do as you said. In full faith, I'll set out on my way back to see my son as soon as possible.
Your son lives. What's happened? Your son
Thank
lives.
you, Lord. I truly don't know how to thank you for such grace.
No need to thank me. It was your faith that healed your son. Go now to him and live in health.
It's hard to believe that such a great miracle,
Oh,
the
what
healing of
happened
that
here?
boy, could happen across such a distance. The father must have truly believed his son would live.
So this could be seen as a type of Vespasian who had already ascended to the imperial throne in Rome after leaving Titus to finish off the war against the Jews. It could be seen as a parallel of that. Now, you see, my beloved friends, that the faith of this Roman has opened the gate of grace. Not the privilege of birth, but a heart willing to trust leads to life. Except that,
Yes, master, now I see. And from this moment, I believe it with all my heart. Oh, yes, Lord. Now no one should ever doubt the grace of God.
Once more he visited Cana in Galilee, where he had turned the water into wine. And there was a certain royal official whose son lay sick at Capernaum.
royal official?
When this man heard that Jesus had arrived in Galilee from Judea, he went to him and begged him to come and heal his son, who was close to death. Unless you people see signs and wonders, Jesus told him, you will never believe. The royal official said, Sir, come down before my child dies. Go, Jesus replied. Your son will live. The man took Jesus at his word and departed. While he was still on the way, his servants met him with the news that his boy was living. When he inquired as to the time when his son got better, they said to him, Yesterday, at 1 in the afternoon, the fever left him. Then the father realized that this was the exact time at which Jesus had said to him, Your son will live. So he and his whole household believed. This was the second sign Jesus performed after coming from Judea to Galilee.
So John, let's save the game. So John calls him a royal official instead of a centurion. Centurion here. And to make sure we get every occurrence of centurion, we're going to click on the actual Strong's Concordance number. That is hecatontarches. And then in royal official, nope, nobleman. Yeah, Cana, and there was a certain nobleman. So John, and then, and the word used there is basilikos. Of or belonging to a king, subject to a king, befitting or worthy of a king, so someone, yeah, of like royal official, and then hecatontarches is translated centurion 21 times, an officer in the royal army. So where in Matthew and Luke he's an officer in the royal army, John elevates him to royal status or kingly status. Now John's of a later date, so that's how the Roman Flavians started out. They started out as maybe not centurions per se, I'm not sure, but Roman military generals, and then they ascended to the imperial throne, becoming king-like, in the Roman Empire. But let's look more at how John tells the story. His son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come down out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then said Jesus unto him, Except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. So here in this passage, it makes let's check these two out again. So Luke makes out like the centurion has lots of faith. Matthew makes out like the centurion has lots of faith, but then John says, except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. And it says nothing about how the man it says nothing about the faith of the Roman soldiers there in John. All right, we already did that. All right. Thomas, healing of the paralytic. We're back here again to Capernaum. Do a lot of running about for all these guys.
He is silent at times, but never absent.
It's good to see you, Rabbi. People are already starting to gather. We organized another meeting with those willing to hear the word of God.
Like they didn't already have the word of God in the Torah, right? Welcome, Thomas. Where is Peter?
At his house. He's preparing a place. But if you try to enter through the front door, you won't take more than a single step. There's already quite a crowd there.
All right, Thomas, but then how am I supposed to get inside?
There is a back entrance. Peter left it open. If you're going to speak to the people, it's better if you're inside first.
All right, thank you, my friend.
Rabbi, some have come just to see you. Others surely want something. I think today will be especially crowded.
I think we already established that, thanks. If so many have come, we cannot turn them away, can we? Oy.
Rabbi, I'm glad you came. It's good you entered this way.
So it's a joy to come into your home. How many people have arrived already? I didn't see that many, honestly.
From what I can tell,
Too many. At this rate, they'll be climbing onto my roof. And they're still coming.
That
You are
pleases
right,
me.
Master. But it seems not everyone came to listen. I see a few scribes and Pharisees by the windows, watching closely.
Do
Let
you
them
want me to
watch.
send them away?
No, my friend. Those who have come sincerely will stay.
Give me a moment. I need to make some space. And you, Master, prepare yourself. This house can barely breathe anymore.
Oh, so you just let the Pharisees right into your house then?
Look at this. How many of them he's drawn here? They're following him as if they truly believe this man has some kind of authority from God.
Authority? I don't think so. It's an emotion. The sick always cling to rumors, and he lets them believe that God works through him and outside the law.
You are wrong. Jesus deceives no one. He teaches about God's love and truly heals the sick.
Do you hear them? Just a few stories and they're already calling him God's messenger. This is how blasphemy is born, when signs are placed above the law.
He speaks of God as if he knows his will better than the law of Moses. Who is he to draw a crowd and suggest that God works through him?
What was that? Something's falling from above. That's dust.
Oh no. No. Not my roof. Hello? Who's up there?
A hole. They're making a hole in the roof.
Hey, you up there. Get down here at once. Another moment and this will all come crashing down on our heads.
Don't be angry, Peter. There was no other way to get him to you.
Jesus, please, look at him! Such a violation of order in the presence of a teacher? A scandal.
This is desperation. I'm curious what their teacher will do now.
And doesn't this look like the heavenly tablecloth that was lowered to
Lord,
Peter in Acts?
For a long time, I have not been able to move or walk. I am completely paralyzed.
I still can't. Okay, so they talk about signs and wonders in contradiction to the law or not relying on the law. We can look at two passages. One of them, Christian. Come on, get out of here. So enter ye in, let me do the Revised Standard Version here. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide. Well, first verse 12, because this heading right here, that's interpolated. So whatever you wish that men would do to you, do so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. That is the final noun, law and the prophets. Enter in by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. But we don't want to do that, right? So enter by the narrow gate, and those who enter by it are many. Many enter in by the wide gate that is easy and leads to destruction. Now, most Christians interpret that as just sin, right? Because they think that Jesus is the narrow gate. But the noun before narrow gate was law and the prophets. For the gate is narrow, and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Christians like to characterize observance of the law as hard, too hard to do, but we know in the Tanakh that the law is described as leading to life. Choose this day between life and death. Didn't Moses say that? And those who find it are few. that describes the law. You don't find many Christians finding the Torah. You just don't find it happening much. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Where do we see this term, ravenous wolves? Genesis chapter 4, or chapter 49, verse 27. This is the patriarchal blessing to Benjamin. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. So in the morning he shall devour the prey. In the beginning of his career in the book of Acts, Saul of Tarsus devoured the prey. He hunted down the Christian sheep, right? The Christian disciples symbolized as sheep. And at night he divided the spoil. Later on, after he took contributions and donations from all these Gentile Christian congregations, after styling himself the apostle to the Gentiles, then when he went to Jerusalem to give this money to the poor, the Evyonim, the Ebionites, possibly, then James urges him to use that money for the Nazirite vow of 2 men, thus dividing the spoil. So, these ravenous wolves were looking at Paul. What's another reason we might look at Paul? Because in the New Testament, so-called, Benjamin is associated with 2 Sauls. Saul, the king, and also in Romans chapter 11, of the tribe of Benjamin, Saul of Tarsus. In, was that Philemon chapter 3, verse 5, he says he's of the tribe of Benjamin. So the only 2 people associated with Benjamin in the New Testament are King Saul, who is no longer alive, and Saul of Tarsus, the so-called apostle to the Gentiles, the so-called Apostle Paul, who was rejected as a true apostle by the Evyonim, the Ebionites, the poor. And, by the way, the Ebionites were also supposed to have a version of Matthew that I think did not contain the infancy narrative, and that it was supposedly their own version of the book of Matthew. That's what is alleged. Certainly they didn't have a version of Matthew before Matthew was written, right? So check the dates on that. So then, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns, or figs from thistles? Every sound tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears evil fruit. So, did the so-called Apostle Paul, did he bear good fruit, or did he bear bad fruit? Well, take a look at Pauline Christianity and come to your own conclusion. But do so comparing it to the Torah, God's law. Every sound tree cannot bear evil fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will know them by their fruits. Not every one who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So, so this is Paul on the road to Damascus. And Saul of Tarsus, and he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul. So there, his name is repeated twice, kind of like the Lord, Lord in Matthew 7. Why persecutest thou me, or why do you persecute me? Let's go to the Revised Standard Version again. Who are you, Lord? So he doesn't even know who he is, and he's already calling him Lord. He said, I am Jesus whom you are persecuting. So, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven, which, if we are to believe the surface reading of the New Testament, that would be the Father in heaven, right? If we're thinking of Jesus, then his Father who is in heaven would be Vespasian, Titus Flavius being his son. On that day many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you evildoers, or you workers of iniquity. And that word there, what is that? And here it puts it in caps. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Lawlessness. The word is anomia. Greek. Anomia. And it's broken down from anomos, meaning without law, transgressor, wicked. Here, anomia is iniquity, unrighteousness, transgression of the law, the condition of being without law. So, lawlessness, or and the law, the Torah, is translated into this word nomos. So to be without Torah is lawlessness, or I prefer to translate it Torahlessness. So, and then will I declare to them, I never knew you, depart from me, you workers of Torahlessness, or you who are Torahless. Blah, blah, blah. So then there's more there. So these false prophets are Torahless, yet they prophesy in the name of the Lord. They cast out demons in the name of the Lord. They do many mighty works in the name of the Lord, but they are Torahless. So the Jesus of the first of the Gospel of Matthew is against Torahlessness. Now, is it Jewish law or is it Roman law that he's promoting? Usually in the Christian scriptures, it seems like it's kind of promoting Roman law rather than Jewish law, because they take every opportunity they can to bash on Jewish law. So this takes us back to the game where the guy says, you know, I do all these miracles and these works and wonders and signs, but you lean on these because you do not believe. And yet here is Jesus running around doing all these signs, even though in the game he's already said, like, belief in signs is no proof of faith, yet he spends so much time doing these signs. Now, Christians will say, well, this is to show that he was giving them a foretaste of the millennial world to come, which, by the way, has not come for about 2,000 years. So that's like you go to a restaurant and they give you the appetizers, but then they never bring you your meal. Son, your sins...
Blasphemy!
Yeah.
Who can forgive sins but God alone?
If this is not blasphemy, then something greater than us is happening.
And not one of you asks whether this man is suffering? Only rules?
These are not rules. This is the holiness of God. If he violates it, he poisons the people.
Which is easier to say, your sins are forgiven, or get up, take your bed, and walk? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority. I thought I already did that. Anyway. Oh. How do I get it to speed up? I do not understand how to get it to speed up. I do not understand this at all.
What is happening to me?
It's a miracle.
He's walking again.
Walk again. It's a miracle.
How is this even possible?
This is impossible.
I will remember
Look,
this day.
he's standing.
Stood up.
He couldn't even
I will
move just
remember
then.
this day.
In this moment, Jesus showed absolute authority, not only over sickness, but over sin itself, unveiling his divine identity, because only God can forgive sins. Mercy is greater than the mere letter of the law, and it reminds us that forgiveness is the deepest rescue, the true salvation, more vital than physical recovery. Jesus did not come merely to repair bodies. He came first to heal souls, and his love and power break through every human limitation and every religious boundary.
Are we done here? Okay, so authority. So it says that, like, Jesus had authority over sins, and yeah. So basically, Titus in 2 thinking that he conquered the Jewish people, they actually, the Roman Flavians, got a copy of the Torah, and they took it, and I believe they installed it in their Temple of Peace that they erected in Rome, and they read from it, and eventually the surviving rabbinical Jews, Pharisaical Jews, if you want to call them that, because the rabbis were descended from the Pharisees, they asked the Roman authorities, the Roman Flavians, for permission to build an academy of Torah in Jamnia or Yavne, and that permission was given to them. So you might say that these surviving Jews were given the authority to teach possibly a kinder, gentler form of Judaism, or at least one that did not have the zealot aspirations which might have been put there by the Romans in the first place. So these Roman Flavians had this authority over determining what crimes were in the Roman Empire, but also an authority to say, yes, we will permit you to teach Torah in Yavne, with undoubtedly the implicit understanding that they would not be teaching zealotry, right? It wouldn't be a Phinehas or Pinhas form of zealous Torah observance. It would be a kinder, gentler, or one more in harmony with the Roman authorities form of Judaism, which Judaism is not a bloodthirsty religion. It doesn't go out there looking to spill people's blood. So that would not have been a hard agreement to reach with the Romans. The other thing, mercy, chesed. They try to act like excuse me. In Christianity, they try to act like mercy or grace is contrary to the letter of the law, to the letter of the Torah. That's like saying that God created the Torah, but then he created it with flaws intentionally, or that God makes mistakes intentionally, or that he capriciously, or kind of as a prank, gave the children of Israel the Torah with flaws in it, so that they would eventually realize that what they really needed was Christianity, even though Christianity didn't even exist. And, despite the fact that it was the Roman Flavians who invented Christianity, not any kind of grassroots Jewish movement that, was looking for the Word of God when they already had the Word of God in the form of the Torah. So, Blue Letter Bible, and mercy. Might not be the word here, but we'll see. Yeah, that is the word, chesed. So this is the word that's typically translated grace or mercy, chesed. And it's here 149 times in the Hebrew Tanakh, 40 times as translated kindness in the King James Version, 30 times as loving kindness, 12 times as goodness, 5 times as kindly, 4 times as merciful, 3 times as favor, 1 time as good, 1 time as goodliness, 1 time as pity, 1 time as reproach, strangely, or 1 time as wicked thing. So like 246 times, here it says 248, but these last two translations are kind of strange. So 246 times in the Hebrew Tanakh, before Christianity even came along, right? But how many times in the written Torah? Because they say, oh, well, the letter of the law is against grace, or grace is against the letter of the law, right? But here we got Genesis, and now we're in Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So right up to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 21 verses, the word chesed occurs. And in some of them, it may occur more than once. I would have to check that. Now, one of these places I've brought up before is, I think, right here, Exodus chapter 34, verse 6. And the Creator descended in the cloud and stood with him, Moses, and proclaimed the name of the Creator. And the Creator passed by before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children unto the third and to the fourth generation. So, and that's with the word mercy. So some of you say, ooh, that seems kind of harsh. But then the word mercy is used here. And abundant, and in the King James Version it says, and abundant in goodness. But that's like they're trying to mask the fact that the word chesed is used here. And truth. So this is chesed ve'emet. Right here. Chesed ve'emet. Grace and truth. Mercy and truth. But what does the Christian scriptures say? Yes, yes. This is where Christians get their skewed thinking. For the law, the Torah, was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. No. Right here in Exodus chapter 4, the Creator passes by Moses. He gives the law, and then he gives his character, and he states that he is abundant in chesed ve'emet. So that is a lie. Chesed ve'emet actually came through the law, through Moses, long before Christianity was ever invented. John, the Gospel of John, lies to you. So where are we headed now? Let's see. Down here. What's going on here? Okay, so this is a good place to stop.